Hey there, children over 30. Did you miss me? Alright, what's up? It's your boy Drew back here with another product review. Today we're talking about, in my experience, the best skates in the universe, the Flying Eagle Drift 2.0. So in the interest of authenticity, maybe, being genuine, which I think is important these days. You know, people are very sensitive and, aware of the fact that they're being advertised to when they're being advertised to, which I see in manifestations across YouTube and really the whole internet. You know, you see people doing these product reviews and not necessarily disclosing that they have some sort of connection to the company or whatever, and then people find out about it and they're pissed, and they should be pissed. Then I don't want any of that, especially. I mean, I've been doing this channel for over a year now, and it's always been very important to me to maintain this integrity. You know, I want people to believe that I believe that the shit that comes out of my mouth is as accurate as it can be, given that my feeble brain is attached to my mouth. Or in a roundabout kind of way. The things that I say are true to the best of my knowledge, and I don't really want to compromise that. That being said, I didn't pay for these skates. Nobody from Flying Eagle came to me and was like, hey buddy, you're on the team now, sign these papers and blah blah blah. But in mid-December, I did go to LA to meet some of the Flying Eagle team, skate with some of the Flying Eagle team, film with some of the Flying Eagle team, film on behalf of Flying Eagle. And I got these skates for free. And I was actually planning on buying them in spring when they came out. So good timing on that. I guess I got them a little bit before everybody else, but Roex and Pro Skaters Place both have them now or are accepting pre-orders. So yeah, I think it's about time to talk about them. It's been, quite the cold winter in the Midwest. So, days when I've been able to get out and, skate them and, really put them through the paces have been a little bit limited. But, between the LA trip and, days since, I feel like I'm ready to talk about them now. And I'm really excited to talk about them now. So let's kind of start from the bottom and then just work the way up. So these wheels are advertised at 88A. They're quite a bit different than what my experience with undercover 88As were. The undercover 88As were pretty okay at the beginning, and then more into this real buttery nightmare when I was just sliding all over the place and not able to maintain control very well, especially with a rocket setup, only two wheels touching at a time. They were just so buttery, they slide all over the place, not in a very controlled way. These they're quite a bit gummier than an undercover 88A. They still slide really well, but they grip really well too, especially when they were brand new. When they were brand new, there was not a stickier wheel on the market. They just clung to the ground. It was a very, very cool feeling. Now that it's breaking in, they're getting a little bit of that butter to them that I associate with 1-in hydrogen wheels and stuff like that, where if you're not quite 100% accurate on your little dancy transition things, you got a little bit of slide to get you through, which is really good for me because I'm not always 100% accurate on my little dancy transition things. So I think these wheels are a good middle ground for me. A little bit more slidey than hydrogen wheels, not nearly as slidey as undercover 88As. These bearings, as far as stock bearings go, are pretty good. I think they're sealed, much in the way that rollerblade SG9s are, but they do roll really nice, so as far as stock bearings go, I would put them, pretty high up there. They're not going to be an ILQ9 serviceable, yada, 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 but not bad at all. I don't think that you're going to have a bad rolling experience with these skates based on the bearings at all. Getting up into the frame, this is standard 243 4x80 frame. That is rockerable, so if you flip these axles on the outside, it'll take the outside wheels and bump them up 2 millimeters, and then you can get that slalom rocker without using different types of wheels. Couple main advantages to this. First of all is going to be when you're rotating wheels and stuff, there's no consideration of, well, this one's one of the smaller wheels, so it has to go on the outside, and these are bigger wheels, so they have to be on the inside. they're all the same across. So whatever wheel you want in whatever position, like, it'll work for you. The other big advantage to this is, for somebody that wants to work on slalom and stuff like that, but then later, wants to go skate around the city and do jumps and stuff like that. You can easily take these axles out, flip them around, get yourself a flat setup, be rolling 8 down in, a matter of like a minute or two. According to Pro Skater's Place, these are a 6000 series aluminum frame as opposed to the 7000 that I'm usually such a snob about. And I'm still a snob about it. But this frame has a couple things going for it. First of all, if you look, it's really thick. It's easily like twice as thick as, like Seba frames or like my Adapt frames, rollerblade frames. It's got some meat on it. So yes, while 7000 grade aluminum would be stronger, 7000 grade at half the thickness of this, I'm not 100% sure about that. And especially if you look in close, there are these little cross braces between each wheel. So you have 3 center braces total in this frame, which again is just going to make it even more rigid. So while pound for pound, the same frame made out of 7000 series aluminum, would it be stronger? Yeah. Am I worried about these flexing? No. I would probably put them up there in the upper echelon of most durable frames on the market that you can get. I'm actually digging the 243 length too. You guys know I was on that Adapt or Symmetrics frame before. That was like the 258, 260, something like that. It was an 84 frame, and I had it rockered. And that was nice because it's a little bit more of a stable base. But I've been spending a lot of time on my ice skates lately, and I just got a new like real dancy blade for them that's got like a 7-foot radius on it. And man, that thing is like rockered to hell. And it's awesome. And skating on these, coming back from that, like, I almost want something a little bit more swivelly. Like, I think the 84s would just feel very cumbersome at this point. There's this sort of evolution of the skater challenging the hardware and the hardware challenging the skater. And, at some point they start like benefiting each other, and you can do a lot of things that you weren't able to do before because you get really comfortable on this setup that's really not stable at all, and you wield that to your advantage. Yeah, so I kind of want to try a 76 frame. They make those too, by the way. And if you get these in a small enough size, they'll come with a 76 frame. Big advantage for small-footed people. Frame bolts on these are a little bit wider than your standard frame bolts, which is nice because, as you know, or if you don't know, 165 frames are slotted, so you can move them left and right. And a little digression off of this. These are actually the first skates that I've been able to skate a perfectly centered frame. Usually I have to have it about 1/8 of an inch to the inside. These, for some reason, perfectly centered feels great. But yeah, having the larger bolt in there is definitely going to eliminate a lot of the, the play that the frame has. It fits nicer in the slot. It's going to keep it more secure. I would still probably recommend throwing some lock washers in there. You have plenty of room. It's not going to make the bolts rub the wheels or anything like that. And again, if you're doing slides and jumps and stuff like that, it's just going to keep it more secure. For slalom, you're probably not going to need it. You're not putting that great of stress on the frame. But if you're dipping into that quasi-aggressive FSK kind of world, I would say it's a good call. Going on to the boot, you can see we have carbon fiber here for the whole base of the boot. And the little frame mounting points have these 7-hole mounting thing. The common question is carbon fiber really worth it? Like, is it noticeable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And a skate like this, I would say absolutely yes. For jumping off stuff, it's not going to be quite as cushiony as plastic. Plastic just has a little bit of give to it, and carbon fiber does not have give to it. The advantage to having a boot like this with no give to it is, again, when you put power down into the boot, it's going to come out the other side a lot more efficiently. So we're talking, more efficient strides. When you push into your deep edges and stuff, they're going to give you the most speed that you can possibly get out of them. For a pure skating experience, carbon fiber is certainly the way to go. I'm not 100% sold on it in aggressive contexts. Especially stuff like the CJ, where it's like they take the sole plate and then they wedge it in between the carbon fiber boot and the aluminum frame, and it's like you just negated like half the benefit of the carbon fiber by doing that. Anyway, such is not the case with these. It is heat moldable. I didn't need to heat mold it, surprisingly, because I have like the weirdest feet ever, apparently. But yeah, they fit great right out of the box. I did put a little insole in there because the toe strap wasn't quite working as effectively as I'd like. Like there was just a little bit too much space between the top of my foot and the top of the boot, given that these are a 43 and I weigh about 135 pounds. I'm guessing most people that are 43 have a little bit thicker of a foot than I do. And I think it's a better call to make something a little bit too deep and the person can go spend like not that much money and get some insoles and, you know, get it up, than it is to make a boot that's super short and narrow and doesn't fit half of the skating population. Really wide toe box on these too, by the way. I think the overall length for this 43 was 273, which for me is just right on the other side of where my foot is. And yeah, plenty of wiggle room. Like they feel great. The top, we have this semi-soft kind of boot right here. The lacing on these is very responsive, easily as responsive as it is on the 7 models that I've tried. The toe strap, again, once I put the insole in, I can feel that it's there. I love the extra security of it. 45 buckle has served me well. I love it. I love the security of it. Again, it's very responsive. I can tell, like, at a certain point, every click feels just a little bit different, and that's really what you want out of a skate like this. You want it to hug your foot as best as possible. Liner laces all the way up to the top. It's unimold. I think there's some plastic in the sides, and this foam inside is nice and dense. The cuffs on these, you may have seen on my Instagram, I had the F7 cuffs on them for a while. They're a little bit taller. I tried it with Velcro and a buckle. Ended up going back to just the stock drift cuff. I will say that the cuff bolts on these, now that I've settled on a cuff, I think I'm going to Loctite it, and it should like just take care of the problem. I shouldn't have any issues other than that. But they do have a tendency to rattle out a little bit. Maybe not the 100% tightest fit. But yeah, I ended up settling on the drift cuff because, well, first of all, I don't do that big of gaps. Like maybe waist high is about as high as I go. Even if I'm launching off of something, like it's probably, you know, just upwards of waist high or something like that. And this cuff is perfectly supportive, you know, at least for me, for jumps from that height. And with how low it is, you know, and I keep mentioning Solomons, you know, which are like another low cut skate, but my Solomons are really, really stiff. And then the Wizard boots that I had were really, really stiff too. The Metro Blades were like overly flexy, but the extra little bit of freedom that you get from a low cuff like this, especially one that's not super, super hard, is pretty rad. It's very analogous to what I've been getting used to on the figure skates, where it's not your leg and your shin and your hips kind of controlling where you are on the skate. And the Wizard skate was a lot like that. Like you had to kind of position your leg and your foot under your body to get the edges and stuff that you need. Whereas these, I mean, yeah, you can use your ankles. That's like a whole other joint of manipulation that you can get. And yes, it takes some practice and some muscle building and stuff like that. You got to build your ankles up. But once you can use it, like, it's pretty cool. I mean, I have like a whole other means of getting on a deep inside edge because I can use my ankles. Like, it's a very like controlled, free feeling, you know, like I can get really deep in there and the cuff's just going to hold me, and it's great. It's great. Especially coming off of the figure skates, you know, which have less ankle support than this. It gives me this feeling of this very like urban figure skate, you know, where it's like it's flexible enough that I can do all the slight manipulations and stuff that figure skates are great for. But it's also supportive enough that, again, if I jump off something like waist high or something like that, I'm going to be fine. You know, it's a great like urban dance boot, I guess is the way I would put it. So yeah, all in all, easily the best skate I've ever skated. Easily the most responsive skate I've ever skated. If I was in a buying position right now, there's some stuff out there that's quite expensive. You know, the new Power Slide Tau is really quite expensive. The new Seba Highlight Carbon, you know, is really quite expensive. The Igors are really quite expensive. And having these, putting them through the paces, doing all my things that I want to do on them. I really can't justify like spending more money on those skates. Like, why? You know? I mean, these are carbon fiber. These have probably one of the most stiff frames on the market. The wheels, as far as stock wheels, are great. The bearings, as far as stock bearings, are, pretty passable. I like them. They hug my foot. The cuff is like the perfect height for the stuff that I want to do. They're comfortable. I can skate them for like 3 hours without a lot of discomfort. I really can't picture a lot of ways that the skate could be improved, I mean, it's all really subtle things, like maybe from the factory they should put more Loctite on the bolts. Okay. If you're somebody that's looking for a really top level slalom skate and you can't necessarily afford one of those other models, like, I would look at this. And if you're looking for a slalom skate and you can afford those other models, I would still look at this. Because again, I can't think of any like big thing that could be improved on these skates. They're great. People have won slide championships with them. I've seen people go hard on slalom, and I'm sure now that Zhao has his pair, he's going to be doing 900s off stuff very shortly. Yeah, this is just easily the best skate I've ever had. I don't really want to skate anything else. The only thing that makes me kind of want to skate other things is just that they're so damn pretty. It's one of the prettiest skates I've ever had too. Probably the prettiest skate that I've ever had. So doing things like slides and when I fall on jumps and stuff like that, it kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I just want them to stay perfect forever. But they're also tools. I have to use them as such and not put them in a display case. So yeah, that's about it. Again, full disclosure, I do have some affiliation with Flying Eagle now. Would I be skating these skates if I didn't have that affiliation? Yes. If you have any questions about things that I didn't cover, hit me up in the comments or something like that. Try to get back to you as soon as possible. Usually I'm pretty good about that. Thanks for watching. Go out and get yourself some Flying Eagle Drift 2s if you're in need of a skate that is very, very, very good for the actual skating. I can't imagine a better skate for skating. Which sounds silly to say, but you know what I mean. Okay, love you. Bye.